Hey coaches, TGIF. I hope you are having a super fantastic week and have some exciting plans going into the weekend. Say hi to me if you are joining me live. Let me know you can hear me okay. I am going to hop in the group really quickly and just make sure that one, I'm in the right group, and two, that this video is streaming and that kind of thing. So let me take a look here. There I am. Okay, so I think we're good. Let me know if you can hear me. I am going to chat about niching down today. This was a question posed in the group. We get asked this question a ton. There's a lot of questions, lots of hesitations around niching down. So I want to explore some of those, a lot of mindset sort of things, fears, hesitations, worries, all of that. And so I am going to address some of those. If you're catching the replay, hey, say hi to me. Also, let me know before I kick this video off if you feel like you know your niche. Let me know that. Do you feel like you struggle with niching down? What are your thoughts about niching down? Just go ahead and leave some thoughts in the comments. It really helps me if I maybe don't touch on one of your hesitations or one of your thoughts, then I can either comment with helping you or I maybe need to do another video, right? Because I like doing these videos for you guys. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kelsa. I am a financial coach. First and foremost, the name of my business is Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. And I have been a financial coach. You guys, I realize I've been saying 12 years, and I was talking with a coach today. First of all, I was talking to a coach that had no idea that I was actually a financial coach. I heard this a lot today with the coaches that I was talking to. They were, one person said, "Oh, you have a coaching business? You don't just mentor coaches." And I was like, "Oh yeah." So sometimes I forget that people don't know that. And then another person said, like, "I can't believe I'm actually talking to you. I kind of thought maybe this was all like just a big sales thing, or like that the website was fake, or like I really wasn't sure like if I was actually going to talk to you. I'm a little surprised right now." And so yes, if you book a call, or if you have questions about the academy or anything like that, then chances are you are going to talk to me. So, in addition to the coaching business, I also am the founder of the Financial Coach Academy, which, as you know, is training programs, events, free resources, these types of things, retreats, fun stuff like that for financial coaches, my people, right? So, check out financialcoachacademy.com if you have any questions about anything. And if you book a call with me just to ask some questions about any of our offerings or events or anything like that, then yes, you're probably going to talk with me. So let's hop on a call together, shall we? I would love that. Okay, you guys ready to talk about niching? I am so excited. So niching down is really this idea of saying, like, here's who I coach best. Here's who I work best with. Here is who I get the best results with. Here's who I want to serve. And I am going to focus on those people in my marketing and in my messaging. And when I'm designing my programs and when I'm designing concepts, right? Like really just getting clear on who that is. There are a number of ways that you can think about your niche. Ryan in this group had posted recently, and he had said that the best way to identify your niche is who you were before you started your financial journey. So whoever you were, chances are that's like you can really connect with that type of person. And so think about that, and that type of person, describing that person, whoever you were at the beginning of your journey, is also who you are trying to serve and who you're trying to market. And it's one of the reasons why we talk a lot about your why story, like really trying to dig deep on like why you want to be a financial coach, thinking about what your experiences have been. And the reason we have you do that, well, there's a lot of reasons, a lot of benefits, but one of them is that like it really does help you to connect with who that person was at the beginning, and so you can easily talk to that person. So that is true. It is probably the easiest and the best way to identify your niche for a lot of people. However, huge asterisk, huge asterisk is that there are a number of people who really weren't struggling financially and yet want to be a financial coach. Maybe you were never in debt. Maybe you've made mostly good financial decisions. You feel like you've always been naturally sort of good with money and you're like, that's why I want to help people, right? And so who you were at the start of your journey is not your niche. That's not going to work for you. And so then you can feel very stuck, right? Now, regardless, I'm going to give you some options if that sounds like you. I'm going to give you some options for maybe exploring who your niche could be. But then also, if your niche is like who you were at the start of your journey, hang tight on this video, because towards the end of this, I'm going to go through like, here's how you dig deep on really understanding your ideal client. Okay, so when you hear niching, you might also hear niching. You could also hear like ideal client. They're all the same. Okay, so they're all similar. It just depends on who you ask. Okay, so if that is you and you kind of know your niche because it's who you were when you started your journey, hang tight. You don't need to necessarily know who that is. You know who it is, but we want to dig even deeper into the layers of that person, right? I'm going to give you a whole bunch of options for that in just a little bit. But then let's say you're the type of person that you're like, who I was when I started this is not my ideal client. That's not really what I'm trying to do. Well, there's a couple of different ways that you can think about like really identifying your niche. So one is, who do you naturally gravitate towards talking to? So is there a certain profession that like you just speak that language? Like that is the world you know, maybe it's the world you come from, is that like engineers or tattoo artists or we've had some coaches who experienced some infertility and that's really who they want to serve. They want to help people who are experiencing that and help them navigate that journey and save for it financially and, all of that kind of stuff. So, it could be just someone that you naturally feel like you can talk to very easily, and it's a very easy conversation. You feel confident talking with them, you see eye to eye with them, and it may not be like who you were at some point in your life, but it just so happens to be someone that you naturally can talk to. Another really good example of where this sometimes shows up is like someone who's like both of their parents were teachers for like 35 years, let's say. Like there is definitely like a mindset and like a element of like what it was like to have two parents as teachers. Like you really feel like you intimately understand teachers, even if you were not a teacher yourself, right? Like you can really feel like you get them. And so that could also be sort of a thing to look at, right? Like you understand these people. That's probably the easiest it'll feel the most natural, right? So it'll be easier to reach out to those people because you can talk with them naturally. So that's one thing you can ask yourself. Okay. Another thing you can consider is there just like a hobby or an interest you have that you want to explore. So for example, if you like skydiving, okay, maybe it's not that it's like skydivers that you want to niche down to, although you absolutely could, but maybe it's like the adrenaline junkies or the adventure seekers or something like that. Like maybe that's who it is because you are like, again, you get them, right? Like that's part of your world. It's one of your hobbies. You're around those people all the time anyway. So it's not a big stretch for you to like step outside your comfort zone, right? Like it just feels like a very natural thing. Another way that you could consider thinking about your niche is from the perspective of the problem you want to help people solve. So it's not a profession, it's not a demographic, it's not men versus women, it's not age, it's not any of those types of things. It is people who are experiencing this particular problem, and this particular problem could be experienced by all sorts of people, and I can help all of them, right? So just something to think about there. Is there like a very specific problem? A really good example here is a client who just finalize their divorce. That could be a man or a woman, right? Could be young, old. You could have somebody really wealthy going through a divorce and somebody, with a tighter budget that just went through a divorce. You could have somebody has kids, somebody doesn't, right? So there's a lot of different sort of demographics around that. But the problem that they were experiencing, maybe problem is not the right word, but like the challenge that they're working through, the experience that they're navigating is that. Another example is somebody who wants to leave their career and start a passion project, right? Start a business sort of thing. And it doesn't even matter what industry they're coming from or career they're coming from. And it also doesn't matter what industry they're going towards or what business they want to start. But somebody looking to make that leap, that's a very specific sort of situation, and that could also be your niche. So those are probably the most common approaches. I'm curious if any of those are helpful for you, to just kind of give you some things to explore. One of the things we teach in the Financial Coach Academy course is, from a cognitive standpoint, you can probably only identify your niche to like maybe like a 60% accuracy, if I'm being honest. Okay. And this is where we're going to dive into like the layers of understanding your niche and how important that is. And the reason I say that is because where the refinement comes from, and like really refining and understanding them at a deeper level, I think comes from experience. Okay. So like working with people, really figuring out when you meet with somebody what you like and sort of like don't appreciate about certain conversations or certain people that you work best with, you know? So you can niche down really minutely or a little bit more broad and slowly narrow down over time as you get busier or something like that. So I'll give you an example of how we experience that. For the longest time, we helped like small business owners, solopreneurs, we said, right? And then we found that the people we liked working with best were all in what we were calling a self-care industry. So these are people like naturopathic doctors, personal trainers, massage therapists, estheticians, hairstylists. Did I say naturopathic doctors? I think I did. I feel like I'm missing a pretty big group of people like in the self-care, industry. The idea is that they all talk with people for a living. They all help people, right? And a lot of them are in a bit of like what's considered like a luxury service, in the sense that like it's not a need, it's a bit more of a want. There is the conversations they're having with clients are very different. They charge different prices than if it's like a needed service versus sort of like a person is spending some discretionary income on it, right? So one that really helped us, because we understood a lot of like the selling element of that, because it is something that a client could choose to have or not have, right? Like a lot of times they don't feel like they need it, but they just want it, right? So, really making sure you're articulating the value of that service. Like that was something we were able to help our clients with as financial coaches, right? Like how do you charge certain prices for that type of service? Also, obviously the budgeting and the savings and the goal setting and all that kind of stuff. But that was something that we felt like they all had in common. And I swear to God, every time I do a live sitting outside, a helicopter flies over. I think we have like one helicopter a month that flies over our house. And by golly, it is always going to be when I'm doing a live in this group. I don't know why that is. But anyway, so the nice thing about that too is that they were in front of our ideal clients as well, because they would be having conversations with their clients, and sometimes their clients would complain about money or whatever, but they all had a little bit of discretionary income. If you're going and getting a facial every other month, chances are you've got a little bit of wiggle room or a little bit of cushion, right? You've got some sort of income coming in where you can absorb that. So we were able to help them, and then they were able to refer clients to us. And then over time, as we got busier and we really refined who we love to serve and our own interests as a team and that sort of thing, we then took that niche, self-care industry people, and narrowed it even more to fitness enthusiasts and fitness professionals, personal trainers, right? And so we narrowed it even more, and you can do that. So another example that I already gave is like the adrenaline seekers, adventure seekers, that kind of thing, or um, uh, skydivers, right? So skydivers is a micro niche of that adrenaline seekers kind of thing, right? So just something to kind of think about there is that you can kind of go at different levels. It's not right or wrong. You're going to hear different philosophies here around the more niche you go, the better. And I would say overall, that's probably true. But there are times where I feel like we maybe overcorrect a little bit. And it's like, I think the example of, let's say, the adrenaline junkie, attention seeker type of person whether you are expressing that through bungee jumping or skydiving, or what are some other things that people do? I'm definitely not an adventure seeker at all. Like, I'm not a risk taker. You guys, one time I went downhill skiing one time. I was in middle school. It was a school trip, and I went down a black diamond. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I don't recommend doing a black diamond hill your very first time on skis, just so you know. That's the moral of this story. But I was going down the hill. I completely panicked and freaked out. I ended up rolling and tumbling down the hill. One of my skis like went down the hill in front of me. It like came off somehow. I don't know if that's normal, but that's what happened. And went down the hill in front of me. I thought that I had broken a leg. Like, I was really scared. I really didn't know what just happened. I was like all turned around in my head. And right above me was the ski lift. So all of these kids in high school were like, middle school were like, Kelsa, are you okay down there? So not only was I like worried that I was hurt, I was also humiliated, right? And I have never put skis on again, ever. And I am terrified of skiing. I really should go do it again sometime, just to kind of like prove to myself that, I'll be okay. Maybe start with like the bunny hill. Isn't that what it's called? With the little rope that takes you up. That's what I need. And a guy in a snowmobile who worked at the ski mountain place, he picked me up and had to take me down the mountain because I didn't know what to do. I only had one ski. What do you do if you're on the mountain with one ski? I got picked up by a snowmobile, which was also very humiliating. But anyway, the point of this is that I'm not an adventure seeker. So maybe there's like all these different ways, and the personality of that person, like what makes them tick, their all of those things are just as important as like their outlet for that adventure seeking, if that makes sense, right? So sometimes it's like, do we really need to narrow it down even more? That sometimes I do question that a little bit. I want to be honest. So for the longest time, like I said, we served people in self-care industries, and that worked really well for us for a long time. I felt like the marketing was very easy. The messaging behind it was easy. It felt like I wasn't sort of like wearing this hat for this person, and then when I talked with this person, I put on a different hat. And that's what you're trying to avoid when you are niching down. So I think that's the question, is like, if you were, and I'm going to keep coming back to this example for some reason of like having adventure seekers, then if you feel like when you talk with this type of person who's an adventure seeker, you're kind of marketing very differently, or the messaging or like articulating the value of what you do for them is very different than like this type of adventure seeker, then yes, you will want to sort of target one or the other, but not try to do both. But if you feel like your messaging is similar for both and it's really landing with both, it's resonating, then I don't think we need to niche down anymore. And I just wanted to be clear on that. Okay, so here are some thoughts, some mindset things. There are some ideas, and I've got some notes, sorry, but I know some people think, well, you're going to exclude a lot of people. And I believe most of us got into this work because we want to help people. And we have a desire to help them not be so stressed about money, right? And so because of that, this fear can come up of, you're going to exclude a lot of people. So here are my thoughts on that. You're simply describing the things you hear most often from your favorite clients, or from these people who like you just know intimately, right? Like, you are simply using their words, you're sharing their experiences. If someone isn't resonating with those things, that's not you doing that, right? That is their feelings and thoughts. And you actually want them to sort of like identify one way or the other with that. Does that make sense? Because if they're not perfect for you, I promise you they are the perfect client for somebody else. Okay. I also know for me, niching down triggers some scarcity mindset, if I'm being totally honest. And I have to work really hard to flip that towards an abundance mindset. So, for example, me excluding people isn't me abandoning them. That's the scarcity mindset. Okay, that's a scarcity thought. Me excluding people in my messaging by simply describing what my ideal clients are experiencing is freeing up those clients to find the person who is the perfect coach for them. That's the abundance mindset, right? That I am not harming them in some way by doing this. I am actually like freeing them to go find the best coach for them. All right. I also think I want to own something here that I don't think we talk about enough as coaches, but I want to make sure we talk about it really quickly, which is I think we need to be honest with ourselves that there are some clients that we are simply better for than others. And I think that's a hard thing to admit, but I know, and I'm wondering if you have experienced this, if you've had a number of clients, you'll have to let me know. But there are some clients, like my favorite clients, the ones that are like my perfect clients, that it's almost like I can't help but think about them and what they're experiencing and their problems and their challenges, and like my problem solving takes over. My creativity goes towards them and their situation naturally. I can't help it, right? Like I am just so excited to pour into them that in between sessions, my brain is working for them, right? And I know that it doesn't do that for everybody. It does that for my favorite type of people, right? And if I am excited to work with somebody, then that's the type of coach I become for them. And that is incredibly valuable, right? And this is one of those benefits when you are hiring a coach, you aren't just paying for an hour of their time. You aren't even just paying for like some strategy they're going to teach you. You are paying for their brain power to be working on your situation and for you in between sessions, right? And I just love that. I sometimes think about like, ooh, I'm going to ask that client that next time I meet with them. I think there might be something going on there. Like I really like digest some things and think through how I can get them best results for my favorite clients. And truthfully, there are some clients where I'm not able to turn that on for them, right? Because my excitement level's not there. So again, back to this abundance mindset. What is best for the client is to find the coach who is going to feel that way about working with them, right? And it is not what's best for the client for me to work with them if I know that I'm not going to feel that way about serving them as their coach, if that makes sense. So niching down is your way of creating as many of those types of client dynamics as you possibly can, right? Where like you just can't help but like get excited about their problem and solving it with them and like getting creative with them and problem solving and like all that kind of stuff, okay? So niching down is what creates that really cool dynamic. So think about it that way, okay? Let's see here. Back to my notes. You're not saying that like I don't help all these people, and I want to be clear about that. You are saying I'm best for these people, right? And you're also saying when you are niching down, you're saying like, here's who I am. Here's how I coach. Here's my style of coaching. And when I think about this, the example that comes to mind for some of you is probably around how you utilize faith in your coaching, right? So there's a lot of questions oftentimes around like, can I say that I only coach Christians? Or, you know, pick a religion, okay? This is just an example. And if that belief is a really big core part of who you are, and it's a part of your coaching, it's an element of like who you are as a person and all of that, then I want you to own that, because having clients who appreciate that about you, who see that as a strength of yours, and you know, they also want to feel as if that part of them, you see that as a strength, is really an important dynamic to have. You want to be working with people who appreciate that about you, who see this style and this personality and like who you are as a really beautiful thing. And so by not owning it, I feel like, and then you kind of introduce it, let's say during a meeting or something, it, it could feel confusing for somebody if they didn't know, right? So, and I'm just using faith as an example, but this happens all the time. Like there's a lot of different things. We're going to talk about like all the different ways we could niche down and like the layers of our niche and like understanding them. And so this is just one example of that. And the same is true for how you feel about like embracing who you really are as a coach. So you aren't judging those who think differently. So for somebody who isn't faith-based, let's say, you're not saying that's bad. You're not saying that's wrong and shame on you. That's not what niching is. You're owning that that's who you are and that's what you bring to the table. So for those who want that and resonate with that, that's just who you are. Okay. And for people who, don't want that, what you are doing is you are educating them on the type of coach that you are so that they can make a really good decision in the hiring process, right? Think about it like I know, even as a financial coach mentor for you guys, like I know the type of coaches that I am best for. I do. I am best for coaches who want to elevate the conversations with their clients, who don't want to just do financial education. You want to take that up a notch. You want to, add in the emotional, the behavioral, the element of like, here's this concept I want to teach you, but I also want to help you to figure out how to care so much about that concept that whether we're working together or not, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever, you still care about calculating that number for yourself or updating your budget or knowing your net worth or those kinds of things, right? Like I work best with coaches who sort of want to be that type of well-rounded coach. Somebody who doesn't want to do that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like if you only want to be data driven, numbers focused, Excel spreadsheets, not touch on the behavioral side of things or the motivational side of things, and all, that is totally okay. That is actually needed in the world too. I really believe that there are some people that that's exactly all they want. It's just not who I'm best for, right? And I think it's really important that we own these types of things about ourselves so that people can make really smart, educated buying decisions. Okay. Now, here are things to know the layers of your niche. And I'm going to try and fly through these really quickly because I have a meeting in 7 minutes. Okay. So it does come down to asking a lot of questions about your clients, identifying patterns that you see, good, bad, and different. I don't really love the like judginess of like the words good and bad, but just sort of like things that like you either feel like they fit you really well, or maybe it maybe creates a little bit of conflict in the way you do things, right? So it's not good or bad from either perspective. It's just they don't mesh well together. Okay, is what I'm saying there. I think it comes down to like really hearing what the clients are saying, what they're writing in their paperwork. And this is where you are going to be able to refine your understanding of your niche the more clients you meet with. Okay, because they're going to literally fill out paperwork, ask questions. You're going to ask them questions, they're going to answer. You're going to have their exact wording right there, and you're going to be like, "Ooh, that's really interesting," right? "Ooh, the 3 out of the last 5 clients said this," right? And when I think about it, those 3 clients were like really fun appointments to have, right? So little things like that, you can really identify some patterns. So some suggestions of things to look for: their philosophy on the world, like their philosophy on like life in general. Okay. So things like no one's going to do it for you, right? So if somebody makes a comment like that, right, or you got to work hard to get ahead, right, or like these types of things, this says a lot about the way they view the world. You think about things like sort of like the Midwest work ethic mentality versus like different places, and like these things, people have these core beliefs without even always realizing it on sort of like the way the world works, right? So you really want to be paying attention to those types of things. Let me see. It says it tends to say things about the person, but also their life experiences, their fears, their desires, those types of things. And so you really want to try and clue in on like statements like that, some general philosophies that they're maybe claiming. Okay. Thoughts on money is the second one. So things like you have to work to make money, right? So that is a philosophy around money that they have. If you keep hearing things like, I can't seem to get ahead, or I don't want to have to budget every dollar, or budgeting is like restrictive, right? Like those types of things are their philosophies on money is also really insightful. Those are going to help you create aha moments in your marketing. So we talk about this a ton in the marketing lesson in the Financial Coach Academy. In your marketing, you want to try and create those aha moments for your clients. So if you think about like what triggers somebody to say, I got to get this figured out, I can't do this anymore, that's an aha moment. Like some people experience that right away. Some people, they like, really go through the struggle bus before they get to that point. You can actually trigger that in people, right? You can actually trigger that awareness sooner. That's that aha moment. And typically it comes from these money philosophies. You can also use this to trigger roadblocks. Roadblocks are the thoughts that people have that are stopping them from moving forward. And oftentimes they think it, but they don't really have the awareness that they think it, right? So things like, I'll never get ahead anyway, so what's it matter? That type of statement is actually stopping them from even hiring you in the first place. So if you are talking with a client and they say, you know what, I was going to hire you a year ago. I almost called you a year ago, but I didn't because, I just at the time didn't think there was any way that I'd ever get ahead anyway. Like that's something that you can clue in on and then speak to that in your marketing. Like you may be telling yourself this, right? So again, you're just understanding your niche, because once you understand your niche, that's really where your messaging and your marketing gets really good. Okay. The third thing is demographics. This is oftentimes what people think of when they think of their niche, but this is oftentimes like the minimal standard. Okay. So age, gender, marital status, income level, career path, like these types of things, important, but definitely not the most important. Okay, so you really want to think even deeper than that. But you do want to pay attention to those types of things and see if you see any patterns with your favorite clients as you're meeting with them. The next layer is personality traits and qualities. So their demeanor, how they communicate, their, do they overall have a positive disposition? Are they driven and ambitious, or are they more laid back and chill? And we are looking for patterns. It's not to say that every client fits inside of this very specific box, but you want to sort of speak to that a little bit, right? So just looking for patterns overall. And then the last one is their experiences. So their experiences are, one of the example I have is a lot of our clients went to college for something other than the work that they are doing, their business. That's an experience, right? They think the way they then view, the reason experiences are so important is because it helps you clue in on some of the other philosophical things we were talking about. A lot of our clients, personal trainers are a great example. They went to school for something totally different. They've got student loans. And so they kind of look at college as like a waste of money, right? And they have that sort of energy about that part of the world. And so we can speak to that. We know that about them. And again, not everybody, right? Some personal trainers went to college and got kinesiology degrees or sports medicine, and that's amazing, but not everybody, right? So we aren't going to turn away somebody if we post about like, you may be feeling this and your student loans, they're really hard to tackle or even look at or feel excited about paying down because they're there for a degree you're not even using every day. I know that feels so frustrating, right? That feels so defeating. We can speak to that, right? Because we understand that is an experience that they've had. Another example is vacations. A lot of our clients do have kids, so this is part of the demographic, right? Are they parents or not? But we were able to realize that not only do they take a family vacation every year, most of them, and the high majority, take a Disney vacation. They either go to Disneyland or Disney World, or if they haven't, they have a desire to go there. Like that's one of the things they want to do, right? So it's a very specific experience that we can speak to, and knowing our niche helps us outline our strategic partners. So if there's travel agents specifically for Disney, you better know we're going to be talking with them, right? We're going to be like, hey, if you have some clients who are feeling this way, like send them over to us, right? If there's a podcast about planning your Disney vacation, we're going to reach out to them and see if they want a financial coach on. So really understanding your niche helps you clarify your messaging and your marketing, your strategic partnerships, and the the biggest benefit is chances are they love you as much as you love them. And it helps you to feel really confident and proud, and like the way you're able to show up more authentically and boldly because of that is so important on this journey, right? It feels like you want to pour into them and they pour into you, and it's just this really beautiful coaching relationship that forms. So I hope this was helpful for you. Please let me know if you've got some ideas for your niche and how you can explore that layer just a little bit deeper. If you've got some ideas on how you can also niche down for yourself, if you're struggling with that, please let me know. Leave some comments, questions, all of that. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody. Make sure you check out financialcoachacademy.com on Monday. If you want to get the academy, you can also join us at the symposium for free virtually, or you pay a discounted price for a live in-person ticket. I would love to have you in person. Like, come on, come say hi to us, hang out. It is beautiful. I'm so excited. Get your learning on with us. Let's have fun. Let's high five, all that kind of stuff. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.